The world does not break you. You break yourself or you forge yourself. They will tell you that life is unfair, that fate has favorites, that luck divides the strong from the weak, but the truth is quieter. The truth is what you whisper to yourself in the dark when no one is watching. You are not here to be spared from storms. You are here to learn to walk through them unshaken. What destroys most people is not what happens to them. It is what happens within them, the collapse of their own will, the flood of their own emotions, the surrender to their own lesser instincts. But there are a rare few who, when life turns hostile, become cold fire, burning but not consumed. They do not break. They bend reality to the shape of their discipline. This is not magic. It is not a gift. It is a set of choices, a path walked one step at a time, each step taken when every part of you screams to turn back. If you want to become mentally unbreakable, you must stop negotiating with weakness. You must stop asking the world to change and instead change yourself into something the world cannot shake. This is the beginning of that transformation. This is how you force yourself piece by piece to become the kind of person nothing can break. The first war is always within. Most people drift through life chained to forces they barely recognize, let alone control. They wait for fortune to smile, for luck to deliver them from struggle, for the world to rearrange itself in their favor. When hardship strikes, their first instinct is to look outward, to blame fate, to resent others, to curse the unfairness of events beyond their control. They build stories in which the villain is always outside, the difficult boss, the ungrateful friend, the cruel twist of circumstance. It is always someone else who stands in the way of their peace, someone else who blocks the gate to the life they want. But the true conflict, the decisive war, is never out there. It never was. The real enemy is closer, so close you carry it into every room, every morning, every thought. It lives inside your own mind. It is the voice that whispers in moments of fatigue, of temptation, of fear. The voice that says, "You've done enough, why push harder?" The voice that seeks comfort at the cost of growth, that bargains away your potential for a brief escape from discomfort. This voice is relentless. It never sleeps. It waits for the quiet moments, for the times when your guard is down, and it feeds you a steady diet of easy excuses. It's too hard. Someone else should do it. You deserve a break. This is why transformation remains a dream for most and a reality for few. Change demands a confrontation not with the world, but with yourself. Most will never look this enemy in the eye. They distract themselves with complaints, with endless stories about how life could be different. If only the past were kinder, if only others were wiser, if only luck had landed elsewhere. But nothing changes until you confront the real battle, the war within. What makes a person unbreakable is not the absence of struggle or the guarantee of success, but the discipline to face the hardest truths about themselves. The first act of true strength is not victory, it is honesty. You must name your weaknesses, no matter how uncomfortable it feels. You must expose your self-pity, strip away your resentment, and see your habits of escape for what they truly are. Patterns that shrink your spirit, not shield it. Resentment is a poison you swallow, wishing it would wound the world, yet it only eats away at you from the inside. The truth is as simple as it is harsh. The world does not owe you relief, reward, or reassurance. Life will not pause to pity you, nor will it bend to make your path smooth. But you owe yourself something far greater than comfort. You owe yourself the effort, the discipline, the willingness to fight for your own mind. So begin there. Begin by refusing to be the architect of your own defeat. Refuse to let the soft voice of excuse dictate your days. Refuse to let the old stories of blame and bitterness run your life from the shadows. Instead, choose to meet each morning like a soldier reporting for duty, not to wage war against the world, but to master the territory within. The storms outside will come and go, but they cannot break you if you have learned to weather the storms inside. This is the mark of the mentally unbreakable, the one who sees clearly, who calls their weaknesses by name, who endures discomfort rather than surrendering to it, who understands that the greatest threat is not failure, but the slow corrosion of surrender. The greatest pain is not challenge, but the habit of turning away from challenge. You do not rise by defeating others. You rise by refusing to let the enemy within dictate the course of your life. That is where the real power begins. The architecture of fortitude. Strength is not a fleeting emotion, nor is it a gift granted to a lucky few. Real strength is a structure, a fortress, crafted through countless small acts of discipline. It is not something you feel. It is something you build. Brick by brick, decision by decision, in the quiet hours when no one is watching. Yet, most people mistake the surge of motivation for genuine power. They think that strength arrives with a rush of inspiration, a wave of energy, a change in the weather. So, they wait. They wait for the mood to strike, for the perfect circumstances to appear, for the world to clear their path and give them permission to begin. But the unbreakable do not wait. They do not negotiate with their moods. They do not delay for the wind to shift. Instead, they build. They wake each day and set about their work, not because they feel like it, but because they have chosen a standard that is non-negotiable. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, especially when it would be easier to let it slide, you place another stone in the foundation of your own fortitude. This is how strength grows, not in sudden leaps, but through the steady rhythm of discipline. Ask yourself honestly, what rituals have you built into your days? What standards do you uphold when there is no one to applaud you, no audience to witness your effort? This is the true measure of discipline, not the grand gestures, but the invisible acts, the routines maintained in solitude, the integrity preserved in private. Discipline is not the same as rigidity. It is not about suffocating your spirit or denying your humanity. It is about constructing a mind that can endure chaos, a spirit that can remain upright when the winds of life batter at your doors and windows. To be unbreakable, you must design your life with intention. You must become an architect of your own character. The architecture of fortitude is both simple and severe. It asks you to choose what matters most, and then to reject every lesser impulse, every tempting escape, every whisper that invites you to quit. This is not a single act, but a repeated commitment. It is the refusal to be ruled by comfort, the decision to act not on feeling, but on principle. Over and over again, you turn down the noise of the world so that you can hear the clear call of your own higher standard. And in doing so, something remarkable happens. The world, with all its noise and chaos, begins to lose its power over you. Distraction cannot breach your walls. Criticism does not shatter your resolve. The storms that once rattled your nerves now become opportunities to demonstrate the strength you have built within. Hardship, rather than something to dread or avoid, becomes the necessary test that refines your character and proves your discipline. You do not become unbreakable by hiding from adversity or by wishing for an easy life. You become unbreakable by facing hardship head-on, by seeing every challenge as a chisel that shapes you into something more resilient. Every trial becomes a test of the structure you have built. And every day you pass that test, your foundation grows stronger, your spirit more enduring. True strength is never an accident. It is an outcome earned, assembled, and reinforced with every disciplined act, every promise kept, every standard honored in the absence of applause. Build this, and you will find that you are no longer at the mercy of your moods or the world's chaos. You will be the fortress, not the victim of the storm. Emotional mastery, the silent art. Everyone, no matter how calm they may appear, feels the flicker of anger, the tremor of fear, the ache of doubt, the sting of jealousy. These emotions are not signs of weakness. They are the inheritance of being human. But what sets apart the ordinary from the exceptional is not the presence or absence of these fires, it is how one responds to their heat. Most let the first spark of anger ignite a wildfire that consumes reason and scorches relationships. They allow fear to shut the doors of opportunity, to chain them to comfort and routine. Doubt becomes an anchor that drags them beneath the waves of possibility, while jealousy corrodes their spirit from the inside. To master your emotions is not to deny their existence or pretend to be made of stone. Suppression only buries the coals deeper, where they smolder and eventually erupt without warning. Mastery is a different art. It begins with observation, ruthless, honest, unflinching. It means standing at the gates of your own mind and naming what you see without flinching. I feel rage rising in me, but I will not unleash it blindly. I feel the cold hand of fear, but I will not let it steer my life. I feel the gnawing of jealousy, but I will not allow it to dictate my actions. This is not self-denial, it is self-command. Think of your emotions as wild horses, powerful, unpredictable, capable of tremendous energy. The weak are thrown from the saddle again and again, at the mercy of every surge and stampede. They are swept away by the force of feeling, reacting impulsively, flinching at discomfort, regretting their words and deeds when the dust settles. The strong, the unbreakable, do not live in a world without storms. Rather, they become skilled riders. They do not fear the wildness within, but learn to channel it. They use the strength of their feelings as fuel, not as chains. True strength is seen in the person who stands still in the center of the hurricane, calm, aware, unshaken. It is not that the wind does not whip around them, it is that they refuse to let it move the core of who they are. When rage threatens to ignite, they let it flare and pass, refusing to add fuel by reacting in haste. When fear calls them to run, they stand and face what must be faced, knowing that clarity is born from standing still in discomfort, not from fleeing it. This is a practice, not a trait you are born with. Begin simply. The next time you feel your blood begin to boil, your nerves start to tremble, or your heart beat out a warning, resist the impulse to act or speak. Do nothing, say nothing. Give yourself a sacred pause. In that space, just a breath, a moment of silence, you become an observer of your own mind. You can watch the storm without being swept away by it. It is within that pause that you discover the secret that eludes most people their entire lives. You are not your feelings. You are not anger, fear, jealousy, or doubt. You are the one who notices, the one who chooses, the one who can hold the reins even when the horses run wild. You are the rider, not the storm. With each moment you practice this clarity, you reinforce the architecture of inner strength. You learn, again and again, that real power is not in denying what you feel, but in refusing to let it control your direction. Over time, your house stands untouched by the wildfires that once threatened to consume you, and you, at last, become the master of your fate. The power of enduring pain. Pain is the teacher most people spend their lives trying to escape. Its lessons are harsh, its voice unrelenting. The very mention of pain sends most running in the opposite direction, searching for anything that might numb the sting or drown out the sound. They fill their days with distractions, entertainment, busyness, shallow pleasures to keep discomfort at bay. When pain cannot be ignored, they blame others, circumstances, or fate, desperate to make it someone else's burden, someone else's fault. But this constant flight only deepens the wound. Every act of avoidance gives pain more power, turning discomfort into dread and minor aches into insurmountable fears. Life becomes a frantic chase after comfort and a desperate dodge of anything that might hurt. The tragedy is that this chase never ends because pain is part of the bargain of living. The longer you run, the larger it looms. The more you avoid, the more it shapes your life from the shadows. The unbreakable are different. They do not treat pain as the enemy. They do not reach for escape or search for someone to blame. Instead, they sit with it still, alert and unafraid. They listen to what pain has come to teach. They ask, "What is this moment trying to show me? What can I learn here that I could learn nowhere else?" In doing so, they turn suffering into a school and discomfort into a forge. This willingness to face pain, to endure it without complaint, is what transforms fear into fuel. The unbreakable do not seek out suffering for its own sake, but when it comes, they do not shrink. They know that pain, fully faced, reveals truths about the self that comfort can never show. It exposes weaknesses, yes, but also hidden strength. It burns away illusions and surfaces what truly matters. In the presence of pain, you learn which of your dreams are worth the cost and which excuses no longer hold weight. When you refuse to run from discomfort, when you meet it with calm curiosity instead of panic, you rob it of its power to threaten you. You become a person who cannot be intimidated because you have already survived your own private storms. You have met the worst the world could throw at you and discovered that you are still standing. The memory of pain endured becomes a foundation, proof that you can face hardship and keep moving, proof that no fear or discomfort can dictate your limits. Ask yourself honestly, what pain have you spent your life trying to outrun? What memories, what disappointments, what failures or losses have you stuffed away rather than facing directly? The answer to these questions is not just the story of your suffering, it is the map to your potential. Every pain avoided is a lesson left unlearned. Every discomfort denied is a power left dormant. If you can learn to sit quietly with your pain, to listen to it rather than drown it out, to seek its lesson rather than curse its presence, you begin to see discomfort as something different. It becomes not an obstacle, but a requirement for growth. You realize that all strength has a cost, and the price is the willingness to endure discomfort without flinching. This shift does not happen all at once. But each time you choose not to escape, not to distract yourself, not to reach for blame, you take another step toward becoming unshakable. Over time, you stop fearing pain. You begin to see it for what it is, the unavoidable cost of growth, the currency of strength. And when you pay that price willingly, you find yourself changed, no longer at the mercy of fear, but made resilient by every hardship you have faced and overcome. Choose your hardship. Every day you stand at a crossroads, confronted by a choice so simple it is often overlooked, yet so profound it will define the arc of your entire life. You can suffer the pain of discipline, or you can suffer the pain of regret. No one escapes both. There is no path through this world without pain. The only question is whether your pain will build you or break you. The world is clever in its seduction. It offers an endless stream of justifications to avoid the hard road. You'll hear them everywhere. Take it easy. You deserve a break. Everyone lets things slide sometimes. Why push yourself today when tomorrow will do? These voices are soothing, reasonable, even compassionate, but they are also the architects of mediocrity. Each time you agree to lower your standard, each time you grant yourself permission to indulge a small weakness or dodge a hard task, you make a silent trade. Comfort now, regret later. Most people drift through life unaware that the cost of every comfort is paid in the currency of their potential. They say yes to ease, not realizing they are saying no to greatness. They choose the soft pillow over the cold dawn, the familiar routine over the daunting challenge, the fleeting pleasure over the enduring satisfaction of mastery. Over time, the small surrenders add up. The pain of discipline avoided returns as the pain of regret, a regret that festers quietly at first, then loudly as dreams fade and the window for transformation narrows. But there are a rare few, the unbreakable, who understand this trade for what it is. They do not scan the horizon for the smoothest trail or the kindest weather. They seek out challenge by design, not by accident. They invite voluntary hardship into their day, knowing that it is only through deliberate difficulty that you become greater than your circumstances. They choose discomfort when comfort is an option. They welcome obstacles as training grounds for their mind and spirit. Each morning, these individuals set themselves a simple test. What difficult thing can I do today, not because I am forced, but because I choose to? This could be rising before the sun, having the uncomfortable conversation, finishing what you started, refusing the easy escape. It doesn't have to be grand or heroic. What matters is the conscious decision to face down resistance and to act, especially when every part of you wants to retreat. Every act of chosen hardship is a deposit in the account of your unbreakable mind. It is proof to yourself each day that you can choose the harder path not as punishment, but as preparation. Each small victory over comfort accumulates, layer by layer, until you are built not just to withstand what life throws at you, but to rise above it. You stop living at the mercy of circumstance, because you have forged a spirit stronger than circumstance itself. This is the great paradox. Both paths are hard. The pain of discipline is acute but clean it cuts, but it also shapes. The pain of regret is dull and endless, a weight you carry for years, a quiet mourning for the person you might have been. Discipline stings now so you can stand tall later. Regret demands nothing today but leaves you with nothing tomorrow. In the end, you cannot avoid hardship. You can only choose which kind you will bear. One path is marked by sweat, sacrifice, and the steady growth of your character. The other is marked by shrinking dreams and unfulfilled promise. Only one leads somewhere worth going. Every day, you decide which pain you are willing to endure, and with that choice, you draw the blueprint for your life. The habit of detachment. To become truly unbreakable, you must master a rare and often misunderstood discipline, the discipline of detachment. This is not the cold detachment from people, nor the shutting down of your heart to those you love. Instead, it is a deliberate uncoupling of your self-worth from outcomes, a conscious choice to anchor your peace in what you can control rather than what you cannot. Most people are quietly addicted to results. Their lives are spent chasing the next victory, craving recognition, collecting praise and tangible rewards. The world's scoreboard becomes their judge and jury. If they win, their spirit soars. If they lose, it plummets. Their mood, confidence, and sense of identity rise and fall like a ship tossed by every tide of fortune, every whisper of public opinion. This dependency makes them fragile. They become hostages to circumstance, unable to find stability unless the world is kind and the winds blow in their favor. But if you aspire to be strong, truly strong, you must break this addiction. You must cultivate the habit of indifference to anything outside your control. This does not mean you care less about your work, your relationships, or your ambitions. It means you shift your focus from outcomes to process, from applause to integrity, from external markers to internal standards. You begin to measure yourself not by the world's fickle approval, but by your own unwavering commitment to what is right. Ask yourself each day, did I act with discipline when no one was watching? Did I keep my word even when it cost me? Did I choose what was right over what was easy, regardless of whether anyone noticed or celebrated my effort? These are the roots from which real strength grows. The world may never see the roots, may never clap for the quiet victories, but they are what keep you steady when everything else is in flux. Detach from the fruit, focus on the root. This is the heart of discipline. The fruit, the outcomes, the rewards, the recognition will come and go. Some seasons will bring harvest, others will bring drought. You cannot control the weather, nor the market, nor the minds of others. But you can always tend to your roots. You can always choose discipline, honesty, effort, and integrity. Over time, this focus on the root builds an internal peace that the world cannot shake. Imagine a tree that stands unbending in the fiercest storm. Its strength does not come from the branches or the leaves or the fruits. It comes from what lies beneath the surface, the roots that grip the earth, unseen, enduring, quietly nourishing all that grows above. In the same way, your peace must not depend on what the world gives or takes away. It must come from what you plant and nurture within yourself. There will be days when you are overlooked, when your efforts yield little visible reward, when the world seems blind to your discipline and deaf to your truth. In those moments, most people become bitter or disillusioned, but you, if you have built your peace on the right foundation, will remain steady. Your confidence will not wither, your sense of purpose will not falter, because it does not rely on outside validation. To be unbreakable is to stand firm while others sway, to move forward with calm certainty no matter which way the winds blow. It is to do what is right simply because it is right, and to let the rest unfold as it will. This is the discipline of detachment, the quiet superpower of those who are truly strong. Practice it, and you will discover a peace that cannot be shaken and a strength that no one can take away. The fortress of the mind. Imagine your mind as an ancient citadel, a stronghold built high above the chaos of the world. In this place, you are meant to be the master, the gatekeeper who decides what enters and what is cast out. Yet most people, without knowing, leave the gates wide open. They welcome every passing criticism, every insult whispered from the crowds below, every spike of panic sent by distant storms. Their walls are unguarded, their defenses down. Every shout from the outside is let inside to echo through the halls of their mind. It is no wonder, then, that so many live in a state of constant exhaustion and fear. They have surrendered their sanctuary to the opinions, judgments, and anxieties of the world. Every new rumor finds a home. Every fleeting worry finds a seat at the table. Their minds become a marketplace, noisy, crowded, and chaotic, where every stray voice is allowed to set up shop. In such a place, peace is a stranger and clarity is rare. But the unbreakable are different. They understand that the world is always knocking, always trying to find a way in. They build walls not to keep life out, not to isolate themselves from the world, but to protect what matters most, their own clarity, discipline, and strength. The purpose of these walls is not to hide, but to preserve the essence of who they are. Within these boundaries, they become the deliberate architects of their thoughts, the strict guardians of their mental space. The unbreakable choose with care what they allow past the gate. They do not waste time arguing with every fool or defending themselves against every rumor. They do not invite chaos inside just because it is loud, or panic just because others are panicking. They recognize that not every thought deserves an audience and not every feeling deserves a reaction. Inside their fortress, only what is true, useful, and within their control is allowed to remain. Doubt and self-pity are shown the door. Envy and resentment are given no quarter. Instead, they fill the halls of their mind with courage, gratitude, discipline, and perspective. This is not denial, it is selection. It is the discipline of deciding which seeds you will allow to take root in the rich soil of your consciousness. To achieve this, you must become ruthless in guarding your mind. Each day, as new thoughts arrive, brought in by the voices of others, the news of the world, the memories of your own past, stand at the gate and ask, does this thought make me stronger or weaker? Does it serve my purpose or sabotage it? Is it within my control, or does it merely distract me from what I can do? If the answer is no, let it pass. Do not argue with it. Do not entertain it. Do not invite it to linger. Turn your focus instead to what is within your power, your actions, your discipline, your response. Over time, as you fortify the walls and strengthen your vigilance, you will find that fewer and fewer intruders disturb your peace. The noise of the outside world will diminish, not because it has become quieter, but because you have become stronger. A fortified mind is not a prison, it is a sanctuary. It is the one place in the world where you can cultivate the habits, beliefs, and attitudes that will sustain you through any storm. As your inner world becomes disciplined and secure, the grip of the outer world loosens. What once rattled you now passes like wind against stone. You stand unbreakable. Inside the citadel you have built and defended, master of yourself, no longer at the mercy of the world. Respond, don't react. The true divide between those who are breakable and those who are unbreakable is not found in the circumstances they encounter, but in what they do next. Misfortune, disappointment, provocation, these visit everyone sooner or later. The world hurls its storms without discrimination. There is no secret shield, no hidden path that leads only through calm and ease. The difference is not in what happens to you, but in what you allow to happen within you. Most people are trapped in a cycle of reaction. They are tugged this way and that by the unpredictable winds of events and the shifting tides of their own emotions. A harsh word, a sudden loss, an unexpected change, a flash of anger, these become the levers by which their day, their mood, even their identity is pulled. Their peace is perpetually hostage to the outside world. Like marionettes, they move at the pull of every trigger, never realizing that the strings are not tied by others, but handed over willingly, moment by moment. The unbreakable, however, refuse to be ruled by reflex. They have trained themselves in the rarest of disciplines, the ability to pause. In the split second between what happens and what they do next, they have learned to create space. It is in this space, a breath, a heartbeat, a silent question, that all true power resides. Here is where you find the ability to reflect, to remember your values, to choose not only your action, but the very nature of your character. This is not an accident or a matter of temperament. It is a deliberate practice. The unbreakable know that between stimulus and response, there is a gap, a sacred moment in which you are no longer at the mercy of your instincts, but in command of your destiny. In that space, you are free. You can choose patience over irritation, courage over fear, understanding over accusation. You become the author of your own behavior, not merely an actor in someone else's script. Cultivating this art begins with a simple discipline. When provoked, do nothing, at least, not immediately. When someone pushes your buttons, when life presses in with pressure or pain, resist the urge to react. Let the first wave crash and roll by. Breathe. Allow the surge of emotion to pass, the pulse to steady, the mind to clear. Then, and only then, step forward with intention. Respond not from habit, but from principle. Respond not with the first thought that arises, but with the best thought you can choose. Reaction is the reflex of the weak and automatic chain forged by years of unexamined impulses. It is the easy path, but it leads nowhere worth going. Response is the art of the strong, a discipline that requires awareness, restraint, and purpose. It is the higher road, and though it demands more of you, it also transforms you. In every day, you will be offered opportunities to practice this: an unexpected criticism, a traffic jam, a disappointment, a temptation to snap or sulk. Each is a chance to reinforce the habit of the strong. Each pause is a stone laid in the foundation of your unbreakable mind. Over time, as you practice, you will find a new kind of freedom, the freedom to decide, regardless of circumstance, who you will be and how you will act. The world will still bring its storms, but you will no longer be tossed helplessly about. You will stand, calm in the center, choosing your course. Reaction may be natural, but response is mastery, and in that mastery lies unbreakable strength. Reframe every obstacle. Obstacles are the great sorting mechanism of life. They break most people, not because the obstacles themselves are insurmountable, but because people interpret hardship as a warning sign, a flashing signal that says, "Turn back. This is not for you. It's too much." To most, struggle means something has gone wrong. Setbacks are seen as evidence that their hopes were foolish, their dreams too ambitious, their efforts doomed from the start. The pain of adversity, in their eyes, is a summons to quit. But those who are unbreakable read the world differently. To them, obstacles are not roadblocks, they are the very path itself. Every problem that arises is understood as a test of character, a chance to discover what lies dormant inside. Every delay, every detour, every disappointment is not an interruption to the journey, but an invitation to grow sharper, stronger, more resilient. The unbreakable do not believe that the universe is conspiring against them. They believe it is refining them. Hardship is not a punishment, but a forge in which their truest self is shaped. When life hurls stones, failures, criticisms, betrayals, setbacks, the weak are quick to pile them up as excuses. They build walls with their complaints, barricades with their blame, and shrines to their own helplessness. "It's not my fault," they tell themselves. "It's too hard, too unfair, too much for someone like me." In time, these stories become the prison in which their potential is locked away. But the strong take those same stones and use them as steps. Each hardship is a chance to climb higher. Each problem is an opportunity to practice resourcefulness, to exercise patience, to learn the art of perseverance. The difference is not in the size or number of obstacles, but in the story one chooses to tell. Your life will be shaped, more than anything, by the narrative you build around adversity. Ask yourself, what do you tell yourself in moments of difficulty? Do you interpret pain as proof that you are weak, or as the necessary resistance that will make you strong? The unbreakable look at obstacles and say, "This is for me, not against me. This moment is not the end, but the proving ground." Here, in this struggle, I am given the chance to prove my discipline, to deepen my patience, to sharpen my will and clarify my values. There is a simple truth hidden in the life of every person who has ever achieved greatness. You do not become unbreakable by avoiding struggle. You do not grow by hoping the road will be smooth or by praying for a life without friction. You become unbreakable by stepping willingly into the fire and letting it do its work. You use each setback as a whetstone to hone your mind, each failure as a lesson in endurance, each delay as a classroom for patience. Adversity, when viewed with the right perspective, is not your enemy. It is the silent teacher, the sculptor of character, the force that separates the fleeting from the enduring. To see hardship as a curse is to miss the very point of the journey. To see it as a forge is to claim its hidden gift. So let the obstacles come. Welcome them, not as threats, but as the raw material for your transformation. Each time you choose to build steps instead of excuses, each time you tell yourself a story of growth instead of defeat, you take another stride toward unbreakable strength. And in the end, you will find that what once seemed like setbacks were, in fact, the stepping stones that carried you to heights you could not have reached any other way.